Hey everybody, welcome back to LeftPawGaming. Today we've got some more of my walkthrough footage of Lost Judgment. Last video we brought Chapter 10 to a close by finding out that RK is working with public security. This video we begin Chapter 11, Undercover. Let's jump in. I am excited for this play session. We got a new chapter.
Looms over Yagami and Kuwana. Japan's National Intelligence Agency, Public Security, fixes its gaze on Reiko Kusumoto of the Ministry of Health.
That's right.
5 years ago, Kuwana prompted her to take revenge on Shinya Kawai for pushing her son to the brink. Secrets can only lie dormant so long, and upon their waking, chaos ensues.
Yeah, who was that guy? I think his name was Bando. Chapter 11, Undercover. So I actually haven't played in a couple of days. I took a short break, finishing editing up Chapter 10 and everything like that. And I kind of forgot what happened at the end.
You've done it again, Tsukumo. Can't believe you found it.
A new day.
I figured Mitsuru Kusumoto would be in one of the better hospitals around the health ministry. That narrowed it down to just a few locations. Then I pinpointed the exact one through sheer determination.
And that led you to Toto University Hospital. So Mitsuru is still lying in a coma there?
Yep. Reiko Kusumoto has been visiting her son every night for the past 13 years. Even after she became vice minister.
So we know where Reiko's at.
If you gentlemen want to meet her in person, that would be your best chance.
Yagami, you seriously think you can convince Reiko Kusumoto to turn herself in?
Is that what's going on right now?
Try at least.
She's at the top of the food chain. If it comes out that she committed murder, the whole country's gonna lose it.
If they hadn't tried to hide it, nobody else would have needed to pay for it. Sawa-sensei.
Yeah, you're right.
And if she confesses to killing Kawai, public security will run out of reasons to keep defending RK. So in theory, that should free up the police to pursue Soma about Sawa-sensei.
Totally agree with you there.
But Kuwana-san's against that, right? Didn't he say he wouldn't let her turn herself in?
Yeah. That's why he's not in the loop on this.
Oh, nice.
So, you're just gonna show up? You do know she's probably surrounded by public security at all times, don't you?
Just means we gotta be prepared for that. Like the professional detectives we are.
Oh my god.
Prepared? How?
Just leave it to us. Yagami-san, I gotta go get ready. Let's meet at Toto University Hospital.
Got it.
See ya.
So we're for real just gonna ambush this lady.
So what do you need from me in this, Yagami?
You got any old acquaintances in RK? Think you can find out where Soma and Akutsu are?
You forget who you're talking to? Why wouldn't I be able to cover that? I knew a few ex-Tojo guys who go in and out of RK on the regular.
Thanks. But watch your back. If they find out you're spying on them, they won't like it.
I'll be ready, like the professional ex-Yakuza I am. See ya.
He's rough around the edges, but in the end he comes through.
Yeah. Turns out he's got extra time on his hands.
Why don't you hire him at your office, Yagami-shi?
I'll talk about that with Kaito-san once he recovers. Anyway, sorry Tsukumo, but we have to take Sugiura from you again.
Why start apologizing now? It's all good.
We're in it together.
We'll talk again soon.
Get out of here. Should head to Toto University. Alright, so we're apparently going behind Kuwana's back. The end of Chapter 10 was literally just us seeing Reiko, after her phone call with Kuwana, be approached by a guy named Bando, I believe, and saying that he suspects her kind of about Shinya Kawai's disappearance, or that she knows something about her knowing. Like, he knows that she knows about it. So now it's a new day, and we're just deciding to go after Reiko Kusumoto. Okay, great. Without Kuwana's consent, so when we tell him, he's going to be pissed. So that's good. We start up a new alliance with him at the end of the chapter there, just to piss him off to start this one. Great. go to the university, man. Oh, and it's already night. Sugiura's the driver. Oh. So we win her trust a little bit.
What are you? Don't worry. I'll give it back to you after this. I'm sure it's bugged, and we wouldn't want anyone listening in now, would we?
So is that how we're undercover?
We'll take a few laps around the block and then drop you back off at the hospital. Sorry, but we just need a bit of your time.
Very well. Who are you people?
We're just local detectives, but Kitakata-sensei is an acquaintance of ours. We know about Mitsuru-kun, and we know that 5 years ago, a man named Shinya Kawai mysteriously disappeared and died.
I have no idea what you're saying.
Wrong again.
But you do. I know how this must come across right now, so I assure you, we aren't the ones posing a threat.
Fine. What is it you want, then?
Tell us the truth. Everything.
All I want is the truth.
Yeah.
In your own words. About Shinya Kawai, and how you carried out his murder.
You're mistaken. I didn't do it.
Think you did.
The other day you received a call from Kitakata-sensei, didn't you? He goes by the name Kuwana now, and works as a handyman in Ijincho. He made that call because we needed to confirm something.
Confirm what?
That you're being tracked.
Whether or not you were being watched by public security.
Right.
Public security, you say?
She knows. She definitely knows.
As it turns
Some
out,
inner
you are.
workings.
Your cell phone is bugged. It can even use GPS to trace who's on the other end of the line. That kind of trace is only possible with cooperation from the cellular providers. Unless you're public security, who could pull something like that off in secret. They want to hit you where you're vulnerable. And that's what you are now after Kuwana. Do you understand, Kusumoto-san?
She might know better than we realize.
You must really be something special. You were never in this job for yourself. It fell into your lap as your predecessors fell like dominoes. That's why you don't owe anyone anything. You're free of constraints. And Mitsuru-kun's tragedy even gained you public sympathy on top of it. Combine all that with a capable bureaucrat like you, there's no telling what you could accomplish.
Good resume.
You're cleaning up house, tackling the revolving door problems. Things you know are the right moves, but with no regard for the consequences. I understand even the cabinet gauges your opinion, since you have so much public support. But I think that's also made you some enemies. Most likely whoever's holding public security's leash.
I have more than a few enemies. I'm well aware of that. And I have no doubt public security would comply with them.
Really?
To be quite frank, public security only exists to maintain the status quo. The establishment is made up of various powers which control politics and finance. But naturally, each branch has its own agendas, goals, ideas of justice, which leads to all sorts of issues and hindrances, which you call constraints. The more individuals who make up society, the more unavoidable that is.
Are you implying it's public security's job to loosen those constraints?
I feel like justice should be
There's more
one
to it
definition.
than that. The world
not
we
perfect.
live in requires all kinds of value systems to coexist, even in chaos. But if you loosen the constraints too far, the fall of the state is inevitable. In that regard, public security's role is to stabilize and maintain the state even while bound by constraints. In other words, The constraints of these powers are precisely what are protected by public security. So the fact that I am not caught up in all that does, indeed, make me something of a pesky foreign object.
Well, then you're the perfect
Pesky
person
foreign
for us.
object. I see. So to these establishment people, you're something to be excised.
I guess there's bullying among adults in high places too.
Yeah. Now we know why they were looking for any kind of weakness in you. And that's when they turned the spotlight on Shinya Kawai's disappearance. An event that was triggered by Akihiro Ihara's case. You know the one, I presume.
Yes.
There's a lot of
An
info
active
going
duty
on.
policeman exacted revenge on the bully who drove his son to suicide. Your enemies must have heard that and thought to themselves, what would Reiko Kusumoto have done to her son's bully? I'm guessing that's what prompted public security to make their move. As the details of Ihara's case came to light, a group of thugs calling themselves RK started looking for Shinya Kawai, all to find out that he was kidnapped 5 years ago, probably killed.
I never did anything out of revenge.
So public security has been working on this for a while now then. If it's been since RK's been searching for Shinya.
Even after finding out Kawai disappeared, public security still had to verify it. But if they found out you were involved, that'd be a win for them. They'd finally know Reiko Kusumoto's weakness.
How long are you going to keep talking?
Long enough.
As public security figured out, the bullying cases involving Toshiro Ihara and your son share a common link.
Yoko Sawa.
That link being Sawa-sensei. She was Mitsuru-kun's classmate and Toshiro Ihara's teacher. Not only that, she was also linked to Ihara's murder victim, Mikoshiba. She was his master teacher. So, not long after the murder, RK came to Ijincho and broke into her home. That must have been when they got Kuwana's name out of her. I think Sawa-sensei suspected that Kuwana was involved in Mikoshiba's murder. Then Soma steps in, with his professional interrogation skills, to beat and scare her into spilling everything. Kusumoto-san, you knew she was killed, right? Kuwana should have told you over the phone.
Wait, are you not one of his colleagues? He said he wouldn't cause me any trouble, and that he would never call me again.
No, we're outside.
Kuwana and I are competitors on a temporary ceasefire. We're not colleagues.
Okay, what do we press her for? Has public security contacted you? Let's see if she talks about Bando or Bondo.
Has anybody from public security contacted you? Have you been approached by any strangers?
I have my suspicions.
What are their names? I imagine what they wanted was to exploit your weakness to control you. Because if all they wanted was to eliminate you, some kind of accident would be easily arranged.
Yes. I suppose you're right.
Do you have any idea what these people are after? And do you mind sharing?
What they want is control of the pension fund, which is under the Health Ministry's jurisdiction.
Pension fund?
An independent agency within the ministry manages the National Pension Fund. It's taxpayer funded, and it's worth 160 trillion yen.
Holy cow.
What?
And certain groups want to take bigger risks with that money in order to generate more profit. In other words, they want the health ministry to use taxpayer money to gamble. They believe that's the only way to rebuild Japan's faltering economy and secure the future of this country.
I mean, would it work?
Of course, if the gamble actually pays off. But if we lost the gamble, then we wouldn't be able to guarantee anything for the citizens of this country in their golden years. That's why the health ministry manages those funds conservatively, even if it means
Makes
the returns
sense.
are lower.
Okay. I'm starting to understand now.
You do? Don't leave me in the dust, Yagami-san.
To be able to gamble all this taxpayer money to save the economy, they need a change of management. And here's Kusumoto-san, head of the office, and she's beyond the control of even the ministers. Her position has the power to take action, to override the way the pension fund is managed. But not only does Kusumoto-san have the power, she has the support of the people.
Oh my
If
god,
a new vice
what a
minister were
target.
to try it, they'd be stopped cold by the constraints.
So that's why they wanted to find her weakness and exploit it?
Exactly. And if the 160 trillion yen gamble were to fail, they could blame the whole thing on
Have we
Kusumoto-san anyway.
turned ever?
Okay.
We're supposed to be going around the
Wow.
block a few times.
160 trillion.
I'm guessing they've already contacted you about it?
That's an assumption.
How's your son, then Kawhi?
How's your son doing now?
He could wake up any minute now. Of course, that's been true for the last 13 years.
I see.
We transferred him to Toto University Hospital just this year, hoping they could spur his recovery. But it turns out they don't do anything much different from the previous hospital. All I can do is wait.
I have to
Music
ask you about
stopped.
Shinya Kawai. You killed him 5 years ago. With your own hands, didn't you?
We're about to get some info.
I understand what your feelings must be towards Kawai. But was that really the only answer?
If you've spoken to Kitakata-sensei, then you must know about the video of how Mitsuru was treated.
It was terrible.
I do.
Aside from Kawai, the other students pretended like nothing happened. They took no responsibility. They put on their sad faces, and they came to visit Mitsuru at the hospital. But looking back on it now, I don't think they really wanted Mitsuru to wake up. In fact, that's what they were checking on. And what did I do? I bowed my head and thanked them. It was only later that Kitakata-sensei showed me the video.
All the students
when I knew
involved beyond Shinya, the ones that
those
held
kids
him,
going unpunished
and the
was
girl who
wrong.
recorded it, would be my targets
And your solution was to pull them into the quagmire?
for
Make
punishment.
them accomplices in murdering Kawai?
If you already know so much, what more do you need to ask?
I guess we're done. But like the ones that held him so Shinya could
get it
beat
now.
on him,
Let me
no.
reiterate.
They
We are not
deserve
your
some
enemy.
punishment.
Then please, let me go.
Anything you want me to tell Kuwana?
I do. He needs to run. Far away. Public security has their sights on him. His capture is not a question of if, but when. He's in danger if he remains in the country. And once public security has him, they will extract everything he knows.
You mean he'd be tortured?
Yes. Somewhere well beyond the public eye.
Get out of here.
No one can withstand what they do. He'd tell them everything. And as for me,
They would expose your vulnerability, making you their pawn.
most likely, they'd gamble away the taxpayers' money, and I'd never purge the corruption in the health ministry.
I get that. But what does it matter?
What?
Because in my opinion, you need to turn yourself in, Kusumoto-san.
Oh,
You want me to admit to manslaughter? You think I killed a real man? I say he was less than one.
here's her real opinion.
Shinya Kawai. He was little more than a subhuman brute. And you saw it. You saw what that brute did to my son.
That's terrible.
I hated Kitakata-sensei. He was an incompetent teacher. An idiot who turned a blind eye to Mitsuru being tortured. But that changed when he suddenly showed up 8 years later. And then he showed me that video. He said, every bully in that video, they deserved to be punished. That it was the only way to get closure.
That
took him up
struck a
on it.
nerve.
But you of all people should have known better.
True. You're right about that. I struggled with it quite a bit. It's an unconscionable act, no matter how deep your animosity runs.
So it changed your mind.
Takata-sensei's words hung on. I couldn't get them out of my head. I saw for myself. I went to Kamurocho, where I'd heard Kawai was working, at a girls' bar. So you know, after Mitsuru jumped that day, Kawai came to me in tears to apologize. I hadn't seen him in all that time. If he'd frozen in place when he saw me, if he'd been the slightest bit apologetic, I might have been able to stay my hand.
I take it he didn't do any of that.
Right. He didn't even recognize my face. And that's hardly the worst part of it, actually. When he saw me, he took me for some bawdy cougar on the prowl for young men. If you've got the cash, I'll show you a good time.
Oh my god, no wonder why she did it.
All those tears he'd shed years earlier were a farce. But I knew that. Deep down, I'd already known that. That was it. That was the moment I lost all doubt about killing him. And as for those other kids who bullied Mitsuru, they should thank me they didn't share his fate. But that's why I don't feel like I have any sins to atone for.
I wouldn't either.
Every night I pray he will wake up. What more can you ask me to endure?
Kuwana said something similar. But you think you can repeat all that? This time say it to her.
Isn't that Sawa-san?
You and Kuwana can congratulate yourselves. You got vengeance on a monster. But what you're choosing not to see is that your actions had consequences for her. It's vicious. I've seen this before. Justice for one at the cost of another. Someone innocent always pays the price. I won't just sit here and watch as history tries to repeat itself. This phone isn't being traced by anyone. So, if you have a change of heart, just give me a call before you turn yourself in. That's all I had to say. We're back.
What a car ride. Nice. The little shh at the end there. Stay quiet. Your phone's out of this little lockbox. I understand why she killed him, though. She thought about it. Alright, guys. We're going to cut this video off right here. What a video it was. It was all exposition. Just us talking to Reiko Kusumoto, trying to get to the bottom of it. Her suspicions were confirmed, right? Public security is trying to... Well, somebody's using public security, I guess, to get the funds for, like, everybody's retirement. To spend all this taxpayer money... Well, not to spend it. To gamble taxpayer money to try to produce better profits. But if they fail, it goes away. So she's trying to protect that failure and leave something for the people. But as for her killing Shinya, I understand why she did it now, right? She really tried to talk herself out of it after Kuwana came up. She wasn't going to turn Kuwana in, but she went for herself to see if he still had any remorse or if it was all just a farce from the beginning. He proved her right. He deserved to die at that point, right? He didn't even recognize her. If you go through something traumatic like that, it's stamped in your mind. If it matters to you. It didn't matter to him. It wasn't stamped in his mind. He didn't recognize her. Boom. She called it. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to have a very interesting standoff at the courts trying to get Ahara's appeal underway. So as usual, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will see you guys in the next video.